Prime Minister, you also mentioned in your speech, we discovered democracy and each other, and now we are rediscovering each other. What is driving this rediscovery? It would be fair to suggest that in this deeply divided global ecosystem, both Europe and India are seeking their own space. They are seeking their ability to make choices, to make decisions that benefit their people, their economic ambitions, their political security.
We can trade more. That's why I'm also a big believer in the free trade agreement between the European Union and India. Not an easy project. This new connectivity, which is encapsulated in the IMEC project, is a generational idea that will bring together, thriving economies order. And the fact that India was so successful in organizing the G20 that it brought, for example, the African Union on board is testament to sort of the new role of India.
Thank you so much for coming to the Raisina Dialogue. For us, having Greece at the dialogue, as you said, in many ways catalyzes the spirit of debate. Two old debating societies and the head of both of them being on the stage, for me, is a dream come true as a conference organizer. So thank you so much for coming to the Raisina Dialogue.
Thank you for inviting me. And when Prime Minister Modi was kind enough to offer me an official invitation to India and combine it with an opportunity to address the Raisina Dialogue, I did not hesitate twice. But I think it is an opportunity to highlight the importance of the debates that do take place at the Raisina Dialogue. I would like to congratulate you for the incredible progress that this event has made. And I can tell you, as I also told the audience, that a lot of people, certainly in Europe, are very carefully listening to what is being debated here.
Prime Minister, you also mentioned in your speech, we discovered democracy and each other, and now we are rediscovering each other. What is driving this rediscovery?
Well, I think that one of the reasons why this discussion is so relevant today is also related to the fact that Greece has emerged stronger from a very profound economic crisis. During the difficult years of the debt crisis, it was sort of inconceivable to talk about the topics that we raised today. At the same time, India has also achieved a remarkable sort of growth leap. And what I find very interesting in this debate is that both the Indian government and our government, of course, doing things at a very different scale, are democracies that are results oriented. So we focus on delivering on specific targets, growth, rising wages, in your case, delivering basic services to hundreds of millions of people. The digital revolution, which has proven an opportunity to actually leapfrog other countries, which thought they were more advanced than both India and Greece when it came to digital infrastructure. So I think the timing of communicating a message that democracies can actually deliver at a time when we've heard a lot about how maybe authoritarian governments may be better at sort of producing results for their people, and that this is happening at the largest scale possible in India, but also is happening in Greece, which many people had written off as essentially a lost case a decade ago. I think the circumstances are very fortuitous in order for this debate to take place.
The time is right to now build this relationship. Prime Minister, it would be fair to suggest that in this deeply divided global ecosystem, both Europe and India are seeking their own space. They are seeking their ability to make choices, to make decisions that benefit their people, their economic ambitions, their political security. What can we do together to prevent a new Cold War, as it were, or a G2 world, as some call it? And how can we both defend the liberal order?
Well, first of all, recognizing that democracies have much in common and need to cooperate is a starting point for this discussion. Of course, all democracies are different, but I think it is sometimes very, very wrong and inappropriate, I would say, when sort of one democracy preaches another democracy or points a finger at what it should do better. We all know that democracies are work in progress and need to improve, but India is a country of 1.4 billion people, and the fact that it is a well-functioning democracy is remarkable in its own right, and I think needs to be recognized and needs to be celebrated. We can trade more. That's why I'm also a big believer in the free trade agreement between the European Union and India. Not an easy project to conclude, but when you look at a dynamic sort of Indian business community looking at new markets, the European Union should be right there as a priority target, and the same is true for European companies looking to expand. And then, of course, I think we also need to do more to address the profound global challenges. I mean, the opportunities and threats of AI, and of course, climate change. And it is in the interest, I think, of every country to pursue its own decarbonization path. On the other hand, for us in the developing world, it is also important to recognize some facts that India, for example, accounts for 16% of the world's population, but only 4% of the total emissions ever emitted. So some consideration to the starting point of each country needs also to be given, and of course we've demonstrated that there are win-win solutions when it comes to the green transition. We were dependent, for example, on natural gas during the first year of the Ukraine war. We're faced with very high costs of importing gas. The more electricity we produce from the wind and the sun, the more we make our grids and our electricity systems resilient, the less dependent we will be on energy imports, which is also something that India deeply cares about, and the better the environmental footprint will be of this transition. But of course, these things do not happen at the flick of a
partnerships on green transitions, partnerships on technology, and trade more. I think that's the mantra.
And I would say also, ensure that there is a seat at the table. That's why I very much insist on the Security Council.
The reforms of the Security Council.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, this was a system that was created 75 years ago that does not reflect the realities of today's world.
Coming back to trade, we have recently seen an ambition by European countries, India, Middle East, and even America, for example, to put together the IMEC project, a connectivity project that creates a new economic corridor, as it were, a new corridor of prosperity for all. How do you see Greece's role, the role of Greece in this framework, and what could we be doing bilaterally to make this come to life?
Well, you just look at the map. You have Europe, the Middle East, the Arab Peninsula, and you have India. And the sort of the new connectivity, because these regions have been connected for millennia through trade and cultural and philosophical exchanges. This new connectivity, which is encapsulated in the IMEC project, is a generational idea that will bring together thriving economies, ensure diversity of supply, and be extremely beneficial for our people. And if you look at the map, Greece is sitting right there as the natural entry point for the IMEC corridor for continental Europe. We have the ports, we have the logistics center, we're investing heavily in our trains, in connectivity, and we want to make sure that the goods and services that enter the European Union or even leave the European Union towards the Middle East and India pass through Greece. For example, I was recently visited, my friends in the Balkan countries, Bulgaria, Serbia. They're all very, very interested in our ports because they see our ports as an exit point for their exports in order for them to reach the global market. So the investment in our critical connectivity infrastructure in Greece is of great importance to us in order to be an integral part of this corridor. And of course, the importance of shipping. No matter how you look at it, there will be ships that will be necessary. So safety of maritime transportation, a key sort of priority right now, especially with everything that's happening in the Red Sea. These are issues which we need to address jointly, because if for whatever reason trade is disrupted, and more than 80% of global trade takes place by sea, then we will both suffer.
Prime Minister, in our countries, our people relate to each other through folklore. Lots of stories, Alexander the Great, Megasthenes, and it's from time immemorial we have heard of each other. How do we upgrade this people-to-people connect and bring it to the 21st century? How do we, in many ways, engage with the creative sectors? India is a big creative economy, digital economy. Greece, under your leadership, wants to be a digital powerhouse of the future. How do we create employment? How do we create hybrid cultures? How do we create a greater understanding amongst our young people, amongst our people generally?
First of all, I think it is so encouraging that Greece and India are rediscovering each other, and this people-to-people connectivity is particularly important. It starts with basic things, for example, ensuring that we have a direct flight between India and Greece. You mentioned the creative industries, filming more productions, more films in Greece, not just in Santorini, but across Greece.
That's one of Bollywood's favorite, by the way.
We have a very attractive incentive scheme to encourage foreign productions to come to Greece and film. More people-to-people exchanges, more educational exchanges. We're in the process of opening up our higher education to non-profit private universities. And this will create new opportunities for educational exchanges and more interaction. And of course, as a student of history, I'm a big believer in learning more about our ancient civilizations. And of course, this is, the story of Alexander the Great is still, resonates with us, but it goes beyond that. And when I mentioned in my speech this notion of ancestral intelligence, I do believe that a rediscovery of how the great civilizations thought about complicated problems can only be beneficial to our thinking today. And for us, it is important because we remember that the world is not only the US and Europe. It's not only sort of centered around our sort of what we call the Euro-Atlantic partnership. And this is, I think, a journey of discovery, but also a journey of tolerance and of understanding the particular historical circumstances of every country. So India, I've been to India many times. Every time I discover something new. It's such a fascinating, such a diverse, such a rich civilization. And the more we in Greece learn about India, the stronger the ties between our two people will become.
Prime Minister, as we conclude this inaugural idea spot for the Raisina 2024, I have to ask you, as an observer of world affairs, in your view, how has India evolved and changed? And since you're coming to office, what is the role of India that now needs to be either appreciated or engaged with by people in different parts of the world?
I would say two things. First of all, you are the fifth largest economy, and you'll become the third largest economy maybe within the next decade. That in itself is something important. You're the largest country in the world in terms of population. And as I said, you are a democracy, which in itself is fascinating. Imagine sort of organizing elections for almost 1 billion people.
It's a celebration here.
We think in terms of it, and it is a celebration and participation. With high participation, again, these are aspects which make India particularly important. But at the end of the day, this is not just about values. It's also about interests. I'm a politician. I want to be practical. It is in our interests to cooperate more. an expanding economy will look for new markets. For example, we want to forge mobility and migration partnerships that will allow maybe for Indians to come and work in Greece. All these things cannot happen in situations of conflict. And of course, I think we have an interest in making sure that India's voice as a protector of the rules-based international order is heard. But it will have to be a slightly different international order. And the fact that India was so successful in organizing the G20 that it brought, for example, the African Union on board is testament to sort of the new role of India, not just as an economic, but also as a geopolitical powerhouse.
Prime Minister, thank you so much for inaugurating the dialogue. Thank you so much for speaking at this Ideas Pod. And while I mentioned it in jest, I really do hope that India and Greece, the two old debating civilizations, can put together arenas, the agoras, that can foster conversations among those who don't agree, so that we could discover a future that belongs to all of us.
Well, we'll start with Raisina in Delphi.
I'll be there, Prime Minister. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Delhi. Thank you so much.
Thank you.